So let's start with the definition, right? Feeling attractive. What is attractiveness? It's a feeling. What's fascinating is that most of us actually think of attractiveness as kind of something that's completely objective, right? We might have an idea or a manual of, all right, a female is attractive if she looks like XYZ. A male is attractive if he looks like XYZ. But that's not actually what is true. We each have our own subjective ideas or manuals or lists of qualities that make somebody look unattractive or attractive. This is why so many of us are attracted to such a broad variety and a broad variation of human beings, right? It's not that all of us are attracted to the same person. It's each one of us is attracted to different people because we have different standards or criteria of what makes somebody attractive. And that's because your thoughts are what create your feelings. That's what we talked about last week, right? We talked about attraction. This week, I want to talk about this more specifically with attractiveness and how you think about yourself in relation to attractiveness. Now, I want to preface this episode by saying that you, ladies, are allowed to think that you are attractive. Now, as women in our society, we are taught that we shouldn't be vain and that we shouldn't be conceited. And so a lot of times we will grow up kind of downplaying our own positive thoughts about ourselves and our physicality, the way that we look, our attractiveness, because we think it's a bad thing. We might have kind of a subconscious negativity that we place on attractiveness or on thinking that you're attractive, right? Maybe it's a thought like, well, I'm not supposed to think I'm attractive. Or maybe it's something like, yeah, well, I like these three things, but I'm not allowed to like everything. And again, this might be super subconscious, but if you just give yourself a minute, I want you to give yourself permission or practice giving yourself permission that you are allowed to find yourself attractive. You are allowed to think that you are an attractive woman. And that's what I want to start with. I want to, if you have a hard time thinking of yourself as attractive, we're going to go through this exercise today, but if you have a hard time thinking of yourself as attractive, then I want to offer that you take a look at the thoughts around attractiveness. Now, again, if you want help doing this, come to the masterclass this week because we're going to be doing it this week. I think we're going to be doing it on Wednesday is when we're going to talk all about attractiveness. So I will help you and we'll do some more exercises in depth on that call. But take a look at the thoughts that you have around attractiveness. Do you think you're allowed to believe you are attractive? Not just intellectually, but actually believing it, right? Not just something you're like, oh yeah, I know I'm allowed to believe it, but do you actually believe that you're attractive? Or do you have this subconscious kind of negativity around believing that for yourself? Do you think that you're only allowed to believe you're attractive if you wear makeup or if you dress a certain way, right? That it's really fascinating. And I would encourage you to kind of dive into this in this thoughts that you have around or manuals that you have around whether or not you're allowed to think of yourself as attractive. And that's going to shape, or attractiveness in general, and that's going to shape how you think and feel about it in yourself.